Hello students. Hello students. Today in this video I am going to teach you how transactions are recorded by the company or corporation. Before I explain you how transactions are recorded by the company or corporation, you need to understand the 4 points. Number 1 is the authorized capital. What is authorized capital? A maximum amount of capital or stock that a company can issue or allot to the shareholders. In other words, maximum number of stock or shares a corporation can issue as stated in a document, that is memorandum of association or article of association. Therefore, you need to understand the amount of paid up capital or common stock is always shown in the balance sheet is always less than the authorized capital. I repeat, the amount of paid up capital or common stock shown in the balance sheet at the right side of accounting equation under the head of equity would always be less than the authorized capital normally shown at the beginning of the paragraph or at the introduction of the paragraph. Number 2, the nature of corporate form of organization. There are actually, we here are discussing about the two types of, number 1 is the public limited company and number 2 is the private limited companies. Corporation or companies whose shares of stock are traded in public market or in a stock exchange are called public limited companies. It is necessary for them to issue a prospectus before allotting or offering or inviting shares to general public. But in case of private limited company, not necessary for them that their stock are traded publicly. They are usually owned by a small group of investors and we call them at the private companies or private limited companies. I repeat, for private limited companies whose stock are not traded publicly. They are owned usually by a small group of investors. That is why they don't need to issue a prospectus before allotting or offering or inviting shares. The next, two main sources of shareholders' equity. We already have discussed so many times under the head of equity, the two main sources. Number 1 is the paid up capital or ordinary shares capital or common stock. And the number 2 is the retained earning. Ordinary shares capital or common stock, actually it is the certificate of ownership owned by the stockholders against their investment. They make investment and they own a certificate of it. We call it a paid up capital or the investment made by the shareholders in the corporation or company. The other one is the retained earning. Again, has already been discussed in detail. The part of operating income is given to shareholders is called dividend. The other part is also appropriated or established is called reserves, and the remaining part is reinvested in the business is called retained earning. The next is the types of stock. Here in this example, I am going to explain you two types of stock. I already have discussed it in my previous video. The two types of stock, the common stock and the preferred stock. Now let's understand how transactions are recorded at the debit and the credit side. What I think, before I teach you how transactions are recorded by the companies or corporation, let me revise you the basic understandings of debit and the credit. As we already have discussed in our previous videos, the left hand side of accounting equation is called debit and the right hand side of accounting equation is called credit side. And hopefully you all have remembered that increase in assets, expense, discounts or losses are recorded at the left hand side, that is debit side, and similarly increase in liabilities or investment or capital or premium are recorded at credit side. Let's understand with that rule of debit and credit with this example. The first example is we are discussing about the businesses, the types of business organization, that is sole proprietorship. The first example here I am explaining you of the sole proprietorship. For example, a sole owner make an investment in the business in form of cash. Now look here at the left side of accounting. We are writing cash at the debit side, and at the right side of accounting equation we are writing capital at the credit side, that is increase in equity or owner equity. The all other four examples are here related to the companies or corporation. Now you have to be very careful to understand this example with the help of basic rules of debit and credit. Here you can see the corporation is issuing shares against cash at par. So at the left hand side, at the debit side, the asset account is increased in form of cash. We are recording it at the debit side. And the right hand side, the investors are making investment in our business. So when investment is increased, that means increase in equity, or we write here paid up capital. Remember, you can write the paid up capital or ordinary shares capital or shares capital or common stock. Let's move towards the next example again. The business is issuing shares against purchase of any tangible fixed asset. Here the example of building. We are purchasing a building and issuing shares at par. So left hand side increase asset side, that is building. I am writing here at the debit side building, and right hand side again, because we are issuing shares, so the owners are making investment or the shareholders are making investment, so their equity account will increase, and we can write here paid up capital at the right side. In this way both sides would become equal, the left hand side and the right hand side. Look at the next example. Again we are purchasing building, but here in this example the shares are issued more than the par value. I have written at the top, for example, or assume the par value of the stock is 5. So here we are purchasing a building by issuing shares at ₹6. So here जो ₹1 ज़्यादा है वो हमारा प्रीमियम को शो करता है. इसकी रिकॉर्डिंग कैसे होगी? ऑन द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड you are writing the cost of the building. Let's assume ₹6, and at the right hand side, first of all you have to write the investment made by the shareholders or the certificate issued to the shareholders by the company multiplying ₹5. One share is equal to ₹5, so paid up capital is always written with the par value. तो यहाँ पर आप लिखोगे राइट हैंड साइड पर, क्रेडिट साइड पर पेड अप कैपिटल के सामने ₹5 और ₹1 हमारा जो प्रीमियम हो रहा है उसको भी हम क्रेडिट साइड पे लिखेंगे. एज पर द रूल ऑफ डेबिट एंड क्रेडिट, इंक्रीज इन प्रीमियम ऑलवेज रिकॉर्डेड एट द क्रेडिट साइड. नेक्स्ट इज एग्जैक्टली द ऑपोजिट or the vice versa example of premium, that is discount. For example, again we are purchasing a building. We are purchasing a building by issuing shares of ₹5 each at ₹4. So we are actually issuing certificate. The values written in our certificate is ₹5, but we are purchasing building at a cost of ₹4. हम ₹4 की बिल्डिंग खरीद रहे हैं और अपना एक शेयर दे रहे हैं जिसकी कीमत ₹5 है. तो डेबिट साइड पर आप बिल्डिंग के सामने ₹4 लिखोगे और ₹1 आप डिस्काउंट दे रहे हो अपने शेयर होल्डर्स को, इन्वेस्टर्स को. तो ये आपका एक तरह से जो है वो कैपिटल लॉस होता है, तो आप इसको लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पे लिखते हो और शेयर डिस्काउंट कहलाता है ये। तो 1 रुपया आपका शेयर डिस्काउंट हो गया डेबिट से, 4 रुपये आपकी बिल्डिंग की कॉस्ट हो गई, और राइट हैंड साइड पर पेड अप कैपिटल के सामने हमेशा आपको पार वैल्यू मेंशन करनी है। रिमेंबर, व्हेनेवर यू आर राइटिंग द पेड अप कैपिटल और द कॉमन स्टॉक, you always mention it with the par value. Premium and discount are always mentioned separately. So hopefully these basic rules are clear to all of you. Hopefully now you all are in a position to understand how transactions are recorded by the companies or corporation. So let's start from the first example. A corporation, here in this example, a corporation is authorized. I feel I don't need to explain you now what is the meaning of authorized. A corporation is authorized to issue 25,000 shares of preferred stock. The par value is rupees 100. And 50,000 shares of common stock, that is paid up capital or shares capital, and the par value rupees 20. Remember, the authorized capital need not to be recorded in general form. It is just an information, and it reminds us that both the preferred shares capital and the ordinary shares capital must not exceed with the amount of authorized capital. It will always be beyond the authorized capital. So let's now our transaction start from here. We have to record this statement. 1/5 of each class of authorized shares is issued at par for cash. Now we are issuing shares, both the preferred and the common stock. So on the left side, the cash is increased. We can see the calculation of it. On the left hand side, the cash is increased by ordinary shares. 1/5 of 50,000 becomes equal to 5,000, and you can multiply 20. 5,000 multiplied by 20 becomes equal to 100,000. Similarly, in the preferred share stock, the authority was 25,000. Here we are issuing 1/5 of the authority. So 25,000 multiplied by 1 divided by 5 becomes equal to 5,000, and 5,000 multiplied by 100. 100 is the par value for the preferred stock, so it becomes equal to 500,000. And the total investment made by the shareholders in shape of ordinary shares and preferred share is equal to rupees 700,000. So left hand side is recorded by increase of cash, current asset debited, and on the right hand side the equity account is increased in form of ordinary shares and preferred shares are credited. Remember, whenever you write ordinary shares and the preferred shares, it must be multiplied by its par value always in all the transactions recorded. The next one is here we are again issuing our stock in the market. We are issuing 1,000 common stock or the ordinary shares at par and also at cash. So on the left hand side you can see the cash is increased. You can multiply 1,000 by 20, so it will becomes equal to 20,000. And similarly, ordinary shares are also multiplied. 1,000 multiplied by 20, it will also become equal to 20,000. Here 400 is actually an error. You can correct it. It is 1,000 multiplied by 20. So on the left hand side, cash is increased, and on the right hand side, equity is increasing in shape of ordinary shares capital, that is investment made by the owner. In the next example, here we can see again we are issuing a stock. But here in this example, we are issuing stock more than par value. Par value is rupees 20. You have to remember the par value is equal to rupees 20 in all these examples. Now we are issuing 500 common stock at rupees 30 each for cash. Again, on the left hand side, asset is increased, that is current asset, and which is cash. So you can multiply cash 500 multiplied by 30 because the market value of our stock is equal to 30, which is more than the par value. So left hand side पर हमने लिख दिया cash, and now on the right hand side again you are writing ordinary shares capital 500 multiplied by 20. Remember, I keep repeating that ordinary shares capital is always multiplied with its par value. So 500 multiplied by 20 becomes equal to 10,000. And because the market value जो हमारे इस स्टॉक की है वो 10 रुपए ज़्यादा है अपनी ओरिजिनल और पार वैल्यू से, तो ये प्रीमियम हो जाएगा. एंड प्रीमियम इज ऑलवेज रिकॉर्डेड एट क्रेडिट साइड. सो वी आर राइटिंग 500 मल्टीप्लाई बाय 10. इट इज आवर कैपिटल प्रॉफिट, और कैपिटल प्रॉफिट इज ऑलवेज रिकॉर्डेड एट द right hand side of accounting equation, that is credit. Never mix up the capital with the premium. Premium and discount are always recorded separately. Okay, now move towards the next transaction. Here again we are issuing the stock, but now here in this example less than par value. We are issuing 400 common stock at rupees 18 each for cash. Again we are issuing stock at cash. The par value is equal to rupees 20, but here the market value is equal to rupees 18. On the left hand side, cash is increased by multiplying 400 multiplied by 18, 7,200. And again here on the other side we are issuing our stock at discount. Rupees 2 is the discount. So our discount is always recorded at the debit side. You can write ordinary share discount, or you can write share discount at the debit side, that is equal to 800. And ordinary shares capital is always multiplied with its par value. So 400 multiplied by 20 is equal to 8,000. It is the investment made by the shareholders, so it is recorded at the right side. Ordinary shares capital is always written at the right side and under the heading of equity in the balance sheet. You might have remembered while constructing financial statement, we used to write paid up capital instead of writing ordinary shares capital. Both are actually same. The next example, actually, we are issuing stock by purchasing fixed assets. For example, here we are purchasing a building by issuing 3,000 shares. The par value is 20, but the market value of our stock is rupees 35. Remember, the cost of the building is not given here. So what you have to do, you can calculate the cost of building by the number of shares issued, that is 3000 multiplied by market value 35. So building is asset is increasing, so you have to record at the debit side 3000 multiplied by 35. That is, you have calculated the cost price of the building. And the par value of the stock is 20 and the market value is 35. That means more than par value. We are issuing our stock at more than par value. हम अपनी par value से ज़्यादा कीमत पर इशू कर रहे हैं अपने शेयर्स, और यहाँ 15 रुपये हमारा प्रीमियम हो जाएगा. तो ऑर्डिनरी शेयर्स कैपिटल हम क्रेडिट साइड पर रिकॉर्ड कर देंगे. इसी तरह ऑर्डिनरी शेयर्स प्रीमियम भी हमारा क्रेडिट साइड पर रिकॉर्ड होगा. जब मोर देन पार वैल्यू होता है तो ये कैपिटल प्रॉफिट होता है, इसको प्रीमियम कहते हैं. आई रिपीट, the premium is recorded always in balance sheet and not mentioned in the income statement. So don't forget this statement. It is always mentioned in the balance sheet after paid up capital. The next, here in this example we are acquiring two assets, office furniture and office equipment. The cost is given. When the cost is given, you have to put directly the cost of office furniture and office equipment at the debit side. Office furniture rupees 200,000, office equipment rupees 300,000. So it is equal to 500,000. तो बिल्डिंग फर्नीचर की और इक्विपमेंट की कॉस्ट हो गई 5 लाख रुपए. हम शेयर्स कितने इशू कर रहे हैं जरा देखें. बाय इशूइंग 23,000 शेयर्स इन फुल सेटलमेंट. ऑर्डिनरी शेयर्स कैपिटल इज ऑलवेज मल्टीप्लाइड with its par value. 23,000 multiplied by 20 becomes equal to 4,60,000. एसेट्स खरीद रहे हैं 5 लाख रुपए के, शेयर्स इशू कर रहे हैं 4,60,000 रुपए के, तो हमारा फायदा हो रहा है. एसेट्स 5 लाख के खरीद रहे हैं और हम सप्लायर को 4,60,000 दे रहे हैं, तो 40,000 का यहाँ जो हमारा फायदा हो रहा है इसको हम कैपिटल प्रॉफिट कहते हैं. एंड इट इज मेंशन्ड बाय ऑर्डिनरी शेयर्स प्रीमियम एट द राइट हैंड साइड और क्रेडिट साइड. लेट्स मूव टुवर्ड्स द नेक्स्ट example. Here stocks are always issued, can be issued for the payment of liabilities. हम बाज़ औक़ात अपने शेयर्स इशू कर रहे होते हैं अपनी लाइबिलिटी को ख़त्म करने के लिए या कम करने के लिए। तो यहाँ हमारी जो लाइबिलिटी है, वी कैन सी द अमाउंट ऑफ बॉन्ड्स पेएबल इज इक्वल टू 10,000, liability is decreasing, liability is reducing, our financial obligation is reducing. So we have to record bonds payable at the debit side, and on the other side we are not paying cash. Remember, we are not paying cash here. In this example, we are issuing 500 shares for payment of bonds payable. So when we issue shares, we write at the credit side ordinary shares capital and always multiplied by its original value. लाइबिलिटी कम हो रही है, मैंने डेबिट साइड पे लिखा है। ओनर इक्विटी हमारी इंक्रीज हो रही है, उसको हमने क्रेडिट साइड पे लिखा है कैपिटल की फॉर्म में। अगेन हियर वी आर इशूइंग 700 शेयर्स फॉर पेमेंट ऑफ बॉन्ड्स पेएबल। अगेन वी आर reducing a liability for the payment of bonds payable. We are again issuing shares, but the example is slightly different. Why? Because we are issuing our stock more than its par value. Earlier we were issuing our stock with equal to par value. तो हमारी liabilities example में देखें आप कितनी है, that is 17,500. So we are liability डिक्रीज हो रही है, कम हो रही है, इसलिए liability को मैंने डेबिट में लिख दिया 17,500। पहले इतना काम करें, लाइबिलिटी को डेबिट में लिखें 17,500। कितने शेयर्स हम इशू कर रहे हैं और शेयर्स को हमेशा किससे मल्टीप्लाई करना होगा, 700 शेयर इशू कर रहे हैं और हमेशा इसको इसकी पार वैल्यू से मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे। जैसे ही आपने मल्टीप्लाई किया, द रिजल्ट एट द क्रेडिट साइड इक्वल टू 14,000। नाउ लुक एट द डिफरेंस, द बॉन्ड्स पेएबल इज योर लाइबिलिटी इज इक्वल टू 17,500 at the debit side, and again ordinary shares capital at the right side is equal to 14,000. तो यहाँ आप देख सकते हैं डेबिट क्रेडिट साइड पर हमारी अमाउंट कम है, और जब भी क्रेडिट साइड पर कम हो इसका मतलब ये कैपिटल गेन है, कैपिटल प्रॉफिट है, और इसको प्रीमियम के जरिए शो किया जाता है। सो वी आर राइटिंग 3,500 इज द ऑर्डिनरी शेयर्स प्रीमियम। जब भी क्रेडिट में कम होगा वो प्रीमियम होगा, और इनकेस अगर कभी डेबिट में अमाउंट हमारी कम होगी तो वो हमारा ऑर्डिनरी शेयर डिस्काउंट होगा। हो सकता है इसकी एग्जाम्पल अभी नेक्स्ट किसी एग्जाम्पल में वो है। ओके, we already understand, or we are familiar that in case of corporation or companies, business is managed by the directors. Yes, shareholder are the real owner of the business. The directors are appointed by the shareholders, but the business is managed by the directors. So there are times when against the services of directors, either we pay them cash or we issue them shares or stocks. Here in this example, against the services of the promoters, we are issuing shares. So you need to understand, or you need to memorize one of the terminology used once the shares are issued to promoters or directors, that is preliminary expense. Remember, preliminary expense is not an expense account. It is your current asset account. It is a type of current asset. Actually, at the time of establishment of the business, or at the time of registration of the business to the registrar, certain amount is spent. For example, a fee is paid to registrar. For example, a legal advisor is appointed, and for legal advisor जो हम अपॉइंट करते हैं और उनको भी हम कुछ पैसे दे रहे होते हैं, तो इस्टेब्लिश करते वक्त हमारा जितना पैसा भी खर्च होता है वो प्रोमोटर्स की तरफ से होता है, और उसको प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंस कहते हैं। तो इन अकाउंटिंग में लिखा जाता है कि ये एक्सपेंस है, अदरवाइज ये हमारा करंट एसेट होता है और ये डेबिट साइड पर होता है। तो और अगेंस्ट में जो प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंस हमारा करंट एसेट है, जो प्रोमोटर्स को या डायरेक्टर्स को हम उनकी सर्विसेज के अगेंस्ट में दे रहे हैं, हम दे क्या रहे हैं इस एग्जाम्पल में, हम शेयर्स दे रहे हैं, इसलिए मैं ऑर्डिनरी शेयर्स कैपिटल को क्रेडिट साइड पर लिख रहा हूँ। रिमेंबर वी कैन ऑल्सो पे कैश टू द प्रोमोटर्स और डायरेक्टर्स अगेंस्ट द सर्विसेज रेंडर्ड। अगर मैं इनको कैश पे कर रहा होता तब भी मैं डेबिट में प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंस ही लिखता, क्योंकि प्रोमोटर्स या डायरेक्टर्स को जब भी हम उनकी सर्विसेज के अगेंस्ट में कुछ देते हैं, प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंस को डेबिट में लिखते हैं। हाँ, लेकिन क्रेडिट में मैं कैश लिखता। अगर मैं कैश पे कर रहा हूँ तो मैं क्रेडिट में कैश लिखूंगा, लेकिन इस एग्जाम्पल में हम इनको शेयर्स इशू कर रहे हैं। सिमिलरली हियर अगेन we are issuing shares to promoters or directors against their services, but here the example is more than par value. We are issuing stock to the promoters against their services, but here more than par value. So you may record it simply on the left hand side. Again, the preliminary expense, the par value is 20 and the market value is 24. तो आपने प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंस को जो है करंट एसेट को डेबिट में लिखा 24 से मल्टीप्लाई करके, और हमेशा की तरह ऑर्डिनरी शेयर्स कैपिटल के साथ ओरिजिनल वैल्यू ले ली और बाकी आपने उसको प्रीमियम की फॉर्म में शो कर दिया। इन केस अगर कभी भी हमारी डेबिट साइड पर अमाउंट कम होगी, क्योंकि यहाँ तो अपनी वैल्यू जो है वो पार वैल्यू से ज़्यादा है इसलिए ये प्रीमियम बन रहा है, अगर कभी पार वैल्यू से कम होता तो ये डिस्काउंट होता और डिस्काउंट डेबिट साइड पे लिखा जाता है। ओके, देन थैंक यू सो मच।